To help public officials better understand why the department needs certain things in its budget, the fire department and union teamed up to put on Fire Ops 101.
Tonight, News Channel 15's Alyssa Ivanson shows us what it takes to be a firefighter.
This is the third time for Fire Ops with the Fort Wayne Fire Department. I went through the very first one 7 years ago, but this time the events were much different and more difficult, and we really got to experience how hard it can be to be a firefighter.
It was intense. I got a whole new respect for these guys.
We want you to experience it, and we want you to have a knowledge of it.
Fire Ops 101, an intense day, putting members of the media, elected officials, and community leaders through a day in the life of a firefighter. We were at the Union Hall when the call came in. Just like firefighters do every day, we geared up and rushed to the scene. Our destination, the department's training facility. 18 of us rotated through 6 different events. First up for me was learning about the ladder truck.
One of the biggest keys here is getting this ladder placed in the right place at the first time.
We then climbed up the 110-foot ladder. My helmet cam shows the journey. The key is to just focus on the rungs. At the top, we had to climb down another ladder to get to the roof. Then we rode in the bucket back down to the ground. Part of this exercise is to show how the ladder truck can go straight out too, not just up. That can be helpful in a variety of different types of rescues and fire and non-fire situations. Last year, the Fort Wayne Fire Department made nearly 30,000 runs. Around 30% were for rescue or medical calls.
This is a daily routine for us. Every day we make automobile accidents around the city.
That's why the next evolution was extrication.
It's vital that we work together as a team.
The task, stabilize the vehicle. Use very heavy, very powerful tools to pry off the door.
Primary focus is always patient. Always, always, always patient.
And rescue the driver.
I want to give people the feeling of what it felt like to actually take a patient out of a vehicle, put them on a long spine board. We're responsible for moving medical equipment along with that. There's a lot more involved than just firefighting. You know, we do so many other aspects in the community.
Whether it's a crash or a fire, firefighters wear protective gear. It's heavy and cumbersome and can take some getting used to, which brings us to the confidence course.
It is uncomfortable. It is hard work. It is hard to move through tight spaces with this big bulky gear on.
The goal, just keep getting through each obstacle. The tunnel made me pause, but with encouragement I pushed on, struggling past down wires, wiggling through tiny holes.
This simulates a panic space.
If you're going to be making decisions for those organizations, you should know what those organizations are asked to do.
I've done a lot of training with the fire department over the years. This is the first time for the confidence course, and it was so much harder than I ever anticipated. It really, really shows how hard it is to be a firefighter. It's not a joke.
I understand now better why they need a manpower or human capital, because it just makes a difference for safety for them as well as the people they're trying to save.
When it comes to things like, well, why do we pay this much for physicals? Fire trucks are expensive. Why do we need 2 new fire trucks? And when you see what these folks go through every day, it's a terrific learning experience.
And tomorrow, Alyssa continues her fire ops experience as she goes into a simulated structure fire and rescues a victim.
Plus, see firsthand why smoke detectors are so important as we take our cameras into the flashover chamber. Don't miss part 2 tomorrow at 6.
Being a firefighter is a tough job, and they need a lot of specialized gear and equipment to keep themselves and the public safe.
To help the community understand just what they go through, the Fort Wayne Fire Department and the Fort Wayne Professional Firefighters Union put on Fire Ops 101. News Channel 15's Alyssa Ivanson went through the day in the life of a firefighter with several elected officials and community leaders. Yesterday, she took us to the top of the ladder truck and rescued a patient trapped after a car crash. Tonight, we see how Fire Ops brings the heat as she goes into the flames.
Some things you understand by doing, and this is one of them.
Fire Ops 101 puts elected officials and community leaders through a day in the life of a firefighter.
So it was enough to let you know what's going on without putting you in a harmful environment.
It's not as dangerous as what firefighters could be called to at any moment, but the day is still grueling. 18 of us rotated through 6 different firefighting experiences. Ventilating the roof is an important part of fighting a fire. We had to use an axe to cut a hole in plywood.
Initially, it'll release the heat and it'll release the process of combustion. Those products of combustion are flammable and will increase visibility on the inside for firefighters.
Ventilation can also help prevent a flashover. That's when toxic gases and fumes in the smoke ignite. The flashover chamber allows firefighters and us to see a flashover happen right above our heads and feel the heat. It's around 1,200 degrees in the flames, 300 to 400 where we're sitting just below it.
It's important for firefighters to see the different stages of fire. We can look at smoke, we can look at fire, we can look at different variety of things inside to gauge whether we should be in there or not.
As the fire grows, the smoke thickens and darkens.
This is about the time that we're going to get called.
The average response from the time of the 911 call is 8.5 minutes. So this is what the fire looks like when firefighters arrive.
We've opened the door to come in. And this is what we'll need to.
And remember, firefighters go in on the same level as the fire. We're observing everything one level down. The deadly flames don't make a sound as they roll above our heads.
When we say, make sure you sleep with your bedroom door closed, make sure you have smoke detectors, because in these first initial stages, that's critical in maintaining safety for civilians as well as for firefighters.
You need more?
In the next exercise, we had to pull a charged hose line to the 3rd floor to put out a simulated fire. I did this one with Congressman Marlon Stutzman.
Party trapped on the 2nd floor.
We had to then search for a victim.
Fire department, anybody here?
The room's so dark we could barely see shadows.
Victim on the bed.
We help fund our public safety departments, whether it's police, fire, rescue, and our firefighters. They have put all this gear on. They pull all this big equipment around. And so I felt it was important for me to understand what they do.
This exercise really shows how important teamwork is. It really takes all of us working together to get it around all of the turns. And then searching in the room, that's also very complicated. And orientation is everything, because when the room is full of smoke, it can be easy to get lost. That's why you use a right or a left-hand orientation, and you basically keep your hand following all the way around to make sure that you don't lose where you are in the room. Again, communication and teamwork is essential to find and rescue victims.
We want to give an understanding to our politicians, again, those elected officials that make decisions based on money, that sometimes there's a human element involved with those decisions that they make.
Now you truly can advocate for the fire department in a way that you couldn't before because you just didn't understand.
Through all the tasks, Fire Ops 101 also left us with one last lesson: the passion firefighters have for their job.
When you can get paid to do something you love, to help people, it doesn't get any better than that.
At the end of the day, it was a lot of fun, also exhausting. But the hope is that all of this will lead to better support and funding for the fire department. In Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15.